Hey, good morning. Do I do listen as this morning? I am Lizbeth Hernandez, a student of the middle school Centro Histórico León of Group 3C. Today, we will talk about a very controversial topic as is the death penalty. This debate is made of six participants. We have two people who have voted in favor, on the other hand, two against. As public, we have only one participant, and I, yours truly, is moderator. Where our panelists will have the time of approximately 2 minutes each per round. In the first round, they will answer the question, what do you think about the death penalty? For or against? In the second round, the public will they will ask questions based on the argument of the first round. And in the third round, the, the public will ask only one question in general and now take their position based on the arguments there. On the one hand, my colleagues Emilio and Victor are in favor, and in the other hand, my colleagues Kevin and Mariana are against. To begin this debate, I will pass the question. What do you think about the death penalty? For or against? To begin it, I will pass the floor to my colleague Victor Manuel.
Good morning. I am Víctor Manuel Gaona Pérez, and I am a student in the Escuela de Nivel Superior Centro Histórico de León, the class 30. The death penalty has always been a debated topic because of the number of people and countries that apply or not this act. The death penalty has been applied since the beginning of time. It is not start in prisons or wars, but obviously it was not known as such. They only killed people who thought they deserve it. That's how it was before. Now it is known as the death penalty and is recognized as a punishment that is applied in at least 54 countries. In my case, I am in favor of the death penalty. I believe that the death penalty is sometimes necessary to repress those who commit major crimes. I disagree that it should be applied in minor case, but when it comes to serious crimes, I am in total agreement. For example, when committing high-level homicide, rape, terrorism, genocide, I know I'm not an executioner and I have no right to decide who dies or not. But I have several reasons to believe that this method has to be applied. The most common reason is now injustice. Justice is taken as the motivation for this act. Most people who are in favor say the justice alone should be the reason for the death penalty. But sometimes it's not enough to convince people. For me, the most obvious reason is conciliation, where it is for family, friends, or just acquaintances.
Well, the time is up. Now I give the floor to my colleague Emilio.
Hey, I'm Emilio Delgado and I study at the school Upper Middle Level Centro Histórico León, group of 30. Throughout history, the death penalty has been the penalty per excellence. Those who have held power in different eras and cultures have found in a decisive instrument to impose their social model, or to perpetuate openly and openly their own privileges. The kings, the priests of the different religions, the leading leaders of any society have always anonymously claimed, until very recent times, the legitimate exercise in certain circumstances of the maximum violence against their subjects, the death penalty. The transfer of the mandate of revenge from the individual to society was a first step. The second step was a elaboration of laws, so that we sentences were no longer in the hands of the subjective criterion of who administered justice. The third step was the elimination of torment as a method of intervention or as a complementary penalty to execution. The first step, not yet fully consummate, is the abolition of death penalty. The last is the promotion of judicial models based on redemption and social reintegration that atoning punishment. I believe that there must be a punishment of consequence of certain acts that we have, and I believe that the death penalty is one of them. It is a equivalent exchange. Man cannot obtain anything without first giving something in return. This is an ideology that we can apply to different everyday situations. In this case, what you do must be returned with something the same, and can be interpreted it is you something kill a person, he must receive the same thing. This is a cabling exchange.
Now it's Kevin's turn to talk.
Hello, good evening. My name is Kevin Guzman Arevalo. I am a student at the Escuela Nivel Medio Superior Centro Histórico de León in the class 3C. I am against the death penalty. From my point of view, it is something that goes against people's rights since no one should decide if that person's life ends or not. My arguments to abolish the death penalty is that it is irreversible and mistakes are made since the idea of executing innocent people is never discarded. As for example, since 1973, more than 184 people have been saved from the penalty because it was proven that they were innocent. Although if you think about the rest of the people that even with doubts of whether they are guilty or not, this was done the team. Another point against the penalty is that most of the people who are executed are from lower social class with different religious belief or ethnic or racial minority groups, so it could beside that this practice is discriminatory. There are many cases in which these type of groups are the most vulnerable to this type of situation since long ago the people who were executed are usually people with dark complexion or with few economic possibilities. So we must think especially in this type of important aspects for the subject.
To end this first round, I will give the floor to my colleague Mariana.
Good morning to all of you present. My name is Mariana Aguilera Delgado, and I am a student at the Center Historic Leon School of Class 3C, and I will share my position on the death penalty. I am against it because the death penalty is discriminatory and is often used disproportionately against economically disadvantaged people, minorities, and members of racial, ethnic, or religious communities. The death penalty is the ultimate exponent of cruel, inhuman, and degrading punishment. I therefore believe that the death penalty is an inhuman and unnecessary punishment, which constitutes a violation of two fundamental human rights: the right to life and the right of every person not to be subject to cruel, inhuman, or degrading punishment. The death penalty is imposed and carried out arbitrarily. The attempt mistakes to pick the most abject crimes and the worst criminals out of the thousands of murders committed each year is a irremediable source of inevitable failures. As long as human justice is not infallible, the risk of executing an innocent person can never be eliminated. Whatever the capital crime committed by a person, his right to life must be always be preserved and under no circumstances is his conviction justified by the death penalty, capital punishment or executing, and it is also commonly called.
Start the second round. We will give the audience a chance to ask some questions.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, I am Emiliano Araiza and I am a student of the nivel, Escuela Nivel Medio Superior Centro Histórico de León. Y these questions is for Emilio. Is what do you think about the implementation of the death penalty in Mexico?
Yes, I think that if the criminalization of death were legalized in Mexico, there would be many fewer crimes since they would be intimidated for the law, and so people will be safer. Although corruption also comes in here, but nothing can be done here. According to the data collected in 2019, 36,470 homicides were carried on Mexico in the same year. According to INEGI, even in Estados Unidos, only 16,425 were registered in the same year, less than half in Mexico. In Argentina, for the same year, 2,291 were registered. It should also be noted that according to the Statista portal, the seven most dangerous cities in Latin America, the seven are Mexicans and are Los Cabos, Acapulco, Tijuana, La Paz, etc.
Kevin, do you have a comment?
Yes. This does not deter crime. If we release this penalty is for crime to decrease. Although this doesn't do its effect since it has many discrepancies. As I was proven that life imprisonment is a better way to decrease crime. People who are still in doubt whether they are guilty or not were given this. This does not deter crime. Mm, if we release that this penalty is for crime to decrease. Although this does not have its effect because it has many discrepancies, and I was proven that life imprisonment is a better way to reduce crime. This should be avoided because in the countries where it is still practiced, most of the testimonies that make possible the conviction is based on torture and methods that threaten health. This makes the trials are unfair, and that in some countries this penalty is only some crimes. Um, Mexico has not had the death penalty since 1929, when it was outlawed at the federal level in the penal code before some legislators at the end of the 19th century already considered it unjust, indivisible, legitimate, unnecessary, and above all irreparable.
Come on, Emilio.
Yes, I think you're partly wrong. Life imprisonment can't be avoided with the corruption, and if these killers were free again, and continued to commit murders and other types of crimes, more innocent lives will be taken away and will create more chaos in the population. Although it is true that there are cases in which there are false testimonies against the people, I believe that judges and lawyers should be improved to make the trial fair, both the accused and the for society.
Okay, again our public can enter.
Mm, I think that for what you mentioned, it is important to see that in Mexico corruption is sometimes present, although I think that most murderers, rapistic, etc., while not have enough resources to get out of jail, so it must improve not only the libraries but also the system that exists here in Mexico and have the coldest to cope up criminals without being able to do something about it with their economic power.
Okay, again our public can enter.
Yes, and Victor, in your fields round mentioned that conciliation was an obvious reason to apply of the death penalty.
Yes, Emiliano. Let me have you an example. Mariana and Kevin, you have a dagger. Someone comes into your house and stabs her to death. You will get justice, right? It is the most obvious, but if you put him in jail, he will only spend his life there, but your dagger is not longer there. And applying this method, the offender goal pay and you could have consolation. If you still don't comment you that this should be applied, I will show you some case where the death was applied. Resmond Mitchell, sentenced to death in 33 for the carjacking and stalling to death of a 63 years old woman and her 9 years old granddaughter. The prisoner, along with other accomplices, kidnapped Alice Lim and her granddaughter and transported the stolen van. After stabbing the elderly woman up to 33 times, they forced her granddaughter to share the back seat of the vehicle while her grandmother's body, and then killed Guardos two slashes to the neck and stabbed her in the head. Wesley era Purkey. The state of Kansas, Charming and White finally kidnapping, continues rape and murder of a 16 years old girl, whose body he dismembered and burned after she died in 1998. Sorry. And I like this case though worse than thousands more. In this case for Desmond, I being the mother of the girl and daughter of the 63 years old lady go like some consolation after when that happened just because of the torture they made the 9 years old girl go through by making her stay with her dead grandmother. Is heartbreaking and sad. In the other case, he not only repeatedly raped the 16 years old girl, but murdered her, dismembered her, and burned her body afterwards. I would feel safer in a world there the skins of people do not exist. They are no longer human just the fact of murdering someone makes me something human, taking away someone's most beautiful privilege, which is life. Therefore, I think that these people no longer deserve that privilege.
And Mariana, you instant mentioned the opposite. Why do you hold it?
Yes, I had the previous knowledge that I am against Victor stance because revenge is not the answer. The answer lies in reducing violence, not in causing more deaths. I think killing one person because he has taken another's life is revenge, not justice. An execution or the threat of an execution inflicts terrible physical and physiological mistreatment associated that executes criminals is committing the same violence that it condemns. Regarding your example, Victor, I consider that even though my daughter had died at the hands of someone who entered private property, I think that yes, I would like justice because a loved one died for me, but I will be doing the same evil that was done to my daughter. In relation to murders or rapists, I believe there are other ways to punish them, either with life imprisonment or among other situations. In my opinion, I believe that no one has the right to take another person's life.
For this, during final round, the public will be asked one last general question.
Yes, and the question is the death penalty is wrong because every human being has the right to life, whatever it is. Do you agree and why?
Mm, my position remains the same because, as I mentioned in my arguments, no one should be the executioner of the other people. I simply believe that society and human justice are not prepared for all the mistakes that can be made, how much negligence there it was without strong evidence. Innocent people come to lose their lives, so before reaching these measures, justice must have a high percentage that the crime is true. In this way, I still consider that is better than life imprisonment because here it is online paid with the privation of liberty to prevent further damage the other people, but also, as I mentioned, the country must have a chance and make it possible that corruption is not implemented in these cases. Also, we must take into account that is if only the person is executed, he will not pay. As such, his sentence, since he will only die, I have always thought that is more punishment to leave them alive since they have too much time to be able to repent of their debts. I think that many times people regret things with they have too much time to think about them. Therefore, it is a worse punishment that used being once. This is for them to realize the magnitude of their crime, that of course can be from a murder and kidnapping, as they must be going through the relatives of that person, or all the problems that will arise just because it was very easy for the victimizer to do it to get anything or just form.
I think that when the death penalty is applied to psychopaths who do these acts like the examples I mentioned, it is not taking away any rights because, in my opinion, that person is not longer human and not longer deserves the right to life. So, no, the death penalty is not wrong, and to be honest, they should admit in Mexico and more countries. Because what is the point of having the locket of if they are not really paying for the atrocities they have committed. And as my partner Emilio comment, what will happen if these criminals escape? They will continue killing, raping, torturing, and I they are caught again. What will they be sentenced to? To life in prison, and what will be their only punishment? And the forms of the death penalty that are used, such as lethal injection, is not even the minimum they deserve. So I still stand by my position in favor of the death penalty. Thank you for your time, for listening to me, their debaters, teacher, moderator, and audience. And I hope I have changed your point of view if you were against the death penalty.
My answer to your question, Emiliano, is yes, it's wrong, since every individual has the right to life and it is not right for us as people to take the right away. I believe that if several solutions can be implemented to this, it could be that there is a life sentence, since in this way we do not take away his life, and besides that, I think he will suffer more if he is imprisoned for a long time. Therefore, I disagree with the death penalty, and I am in the same position because I think of how those people who have been sentenced to this have died without fault. In this way, we can say that they themselves market their lives as they generated the crime. But we cannot decide for others. It is really unfair to do so and to leave in use the fact that a person died for our fault is totally unfair and will remain in your conscience and remorse, so it is better not to carry out the death penalty and to apply other conditions for the crimes committed.
I believe that the death penalty should be applied in certain cases, since, as my colleague Victor mentioned, with what right you can ask for a life full of freedom when you took away with your own hands the freedom of another person? And this is where I use the value of equivalent exchange. If you took his life from another person, we should take it from you. Since that person did not have the suffer that, and as in this case that Victor commented, the grandmother of the granddaughter had nothing to do with the death. It's not if they deserve it, what happened to them. It is a inhuman and horrible act to leave a poor girl next to the grandmother corpse. I believe that these people stopped being human with the acts they were committed. So I don't believe that if they are given jail time or even a life sentences, they can regret their actions, or maybe yes. That depends of the person behind of the homicide. That this method of justice is effective in certain extreme cases, since these people should not have to live for the acts committed, and they have taken so many innocent lives, and they have also ruined the lives of their relatives. Thanks to listen to me, and I hope to change your opinion of this theme, the death penalty.
Yes, as we have been able to hear each opponent maintain their positions with their respective arguments and respond by arguing each of their answers. However, my conclusion will be that every person in the world deserves life. It is true that we human and we are not perfect. We are always making mistakes and we have the opportunity to change and we better every day. But in cases like this, where the is accused commits the crime of killing to someone, it is something of arguable. This life the most valuable thing we have, and it is unfair then someone takes and from use or takes in from someone else because it's in taking away the opportunity to grow, to love, to cry, to feel sad and joy. And it is not feel that so many like this is still alive because that is no longer life that is really something inhumano as said before. I am favor that everyone deserves to life and I agree with Emilio and Victor, but it is the case of murder on rapids or person who only brings uh, science having that privilege to life as someone who after time regrets his action and perhaps the person changes, but what it is the past already done and nothing changes it and don't know we got to decide if what this time will we accepting of the death penalty and with a legal procedure and weighing everything somehow eliminating some were only brown paints on the wall.
I thank you very much for your attention as well as the participation of each of my colleagues. Your participation and enthusiasm, meanwhile, from all that has been working are we can get a possible solution. With ease, you use both life imprisonment for those who murder people and the death penalty for those people who commit horror acts that are horror, inhuman, as well as serial killers, terrorists, etc. The final purpose fade up the person should be given by a well-prepared judge and not be left in hand of correction. Thank you. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you.